No.
I'm not cold. I live in the real world where businesses fail every day and everyone moves on.
To get the rewards, you got to get the problem.
This guy gets it. Everybody, welcome back to the Exit Rich podcast. I'm sitting with a good friend of mine, Al Zoni, CEO of Elmwood Zoo. And why I asked him to be on the podcast, because like, what's that to do with home services? Every business is the same. Change out the widget. I watched this man since 2014 take the zoo from 110,000 visitors to over 1.2 million visitors now a year annually. And he's going to talk to you about his growth strategy. And it's the same exact one we use in home services and every other business. I'm proud to call you a friend, Al. I appreciate you coming in. And no one does it better than you with relationships. And we're going to talk about relationships, me and you.
I appreciate it.
So tell everybody who you are, Al, real fast.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Montgomery County. I grew up around the zoo. Used to go there as a kid. Have some sports background. I was a past football guy, so I love that whole team mentality. But I'm a caterer, right? So my background's in food and beverage. And I use that catering mentality in my business. We cater to our guests, we cater to our employees, we cater to our donors. So we take that fine experience, that fine dining experience, and we perform it each and every day. Came to the zoo because they were closing in 2011, and the rest has been history. We're one of the most populated zoos in the state of Pennsylvania, and we're up for major awards this year.
Well, what's crazy about your story is you didn't even know anything about the zoo. You knew nothing about animals. You heard over the radio it was closing down.
Yep.
And then you cold called them and said, let me in here and I'll help rebuild this thing.
Yeah, let's try to
Can you
figure
tell
it
that
out.
story? It's a crazy story if you think about it.
Yeah, so I was leasing a golf course. Another thing at the time I knew nothing about. I golf a little bit now, but I did not golf when I had Jeffersonville Golf Club. And I leased a golf course, and we were driving to cater a job on the roof of the Free Library in Philadelphia. We were the first caterer to get that job. We hoisted the tent up the side of the building. It was awesome. But back then, it was before we had these cell phones, and we had all these awesome GPSs, so you listen to KYW to hear the traffic.
Okay.
And I just happened to hear this, the CEO of Elmwood Park Zoo talking about that they were going to close the zoo at the end of 2011. They were going to give animals to Philly and the AZA. And I called my old man who was in the van behind me with catering. I called him up. I said, we're going to go to the zoo tomorrow and see if we can't figure this out. We came in pro bono as a business advisor, looked at their books, locked myself in an office, started looking at things, looking at people. Like they had a lot of good people, but they were treating it like a mom and pop, sweeping a lot of things under the carpet. You talk about it all the time, having legit numbers, good numbers, solid ground. People do not invest in a facility that does not have solid ground. So we had to create that. Got rid of a bunch of people in the beginning to put the right team members on the bus.
That had to be hard, though, because you have legacy people in a place like that.
Yeah, it was. But for me coming in from the outside, the board has been awesome. Sharifa Howarth is our board chair now. She was vice president when I got there. And I kind of asked for control. I knew it was going to be difficult coming in and having a lot of people weigh in. And they did that in the beginning, but we were able to move quickly and get to taking the zoo up instead of being at the bottom.
So our story is crazy how relationships matter. We met through Christian Hernandez, who actually worked at One SEO for me.
Yep.
And we never had a zoo ever at One SEO for a client. And me and you became friends, and Christian's a great guy, I'm not saying, but we actually became better friends than you and Christian.
Yeah,
right? What's funny is, and not comparing, it's just how relationships work. Like, you meet people and you instantly click, and as long as you're good to them, they'll be good to you. And we were just hanging out, me and you, and you started telling me you can't get people through the door. You can't get people through the door.
Yeah. I remember exactly telling you that when you Google and search Philadelphia Zoo, I want you to find Elmwood Park Zoo. How do I do it? I said, I'm not even being found on Google. They can't find us. No one knows where we are. And within a very short period of time, you kind of blanketed the whole area. I joke and tell a story. The AZA conference is every year in September, and we have one coming up. And your team put beacons in my backpack.
Of course.
And while everyone was sitting in the stadium, all 3,000 people, everyone got an alert to their phone like you would on emergency services that said best boutique zoo in the country. Everyone clicked on it. It took them right to Elmwood Park Zoo's website. I still have people coming up to me asking me how much I paid AZA to do that.
Nothing.
And I think I paid like $13 for the beacon. It was so inexpensive, but it was unbelievable. And it was things like that that had us thinking outside the box, right? Elmwood Park Zoo is one of the leading zoos in Pennsylvania, and it's because we focus on the people that live in our community. We don't just focus on travel and tourism. And a lot of the other zoos, really focus on travel and tourism. But with that being said, when people come and they stay in Philadelphia, they can't wait to get out and come to the Elmwood Park Zoo. So you do a lot of marketing. You did a lot of marketing for us in the city, and you build a lot of relationships.
Well, yeah, I mean, the marketing part was fun. Listen, you were one of our better case studies because it was a vertical we never did before, and we saw the improvement, which I'm proud of when I see any client win. But we became friends, and what's funny is after I sold one SEO, we remained friends. And I wasn't really even a big donor at the zoo until after I sold one SEO. I don't use the word big because you have way bigger donors than me. But I wasn't, donating. But our relationship.
Absolutely. But our relationship was not just a friendship piece of it, right? But your sister Jolyn sits on our board of directors. So, we get that input and that insight as well, which is huge.
I forgot she's on the board.
Yeah.
Like, funny, people don't remember how relationships truly work. Like, if you have a real relationship with someone, you texted me yesterday. This podcast wasn't even set up.
Yep.
You're like, yo, can I talk to you? I want to meet with you this week, next week. I know I'm going all next week. And I immediately cleared my schedule this afternoon. I was like, yeah, I'll just swing by tomorrow afternoon in Bluebell. Yeah. I mean, like, if relationships matter to you, you'll make it fucking work.
Yeah, you always make it work. Even if it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're sending me a video, we always communicate.
I do try to I think relationships are the biggest thing about business. So, like, let's just talk about your journey here. You started getting a lot of people into Elmwood Zoo. You went from 100,000 to 1.2 million now.
Yep.
That's 10x. I mean, you're adding 2025. You're adding 100,000 per year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably, but still a heavy growth.
When I started at the zoo, we had about $1.4 million a year in revenue and about $2 million in expenses. That's why they were upside down, right? We're now at like $20 million a year. Our best year, I think, was $38 million in 1 year.
Wow, Jesus Lord, that's literally almost 30x.
It's unbelievable. And the growth has been great. And we're investing it back, not only in the zoo, but in the community, right? So we are a nonprofit, and we are in an underserved community. And, some of the things that put us on the map, we're the first autism certified zoo in the entire world. We're the only pet-friendly zoo in the United States. You can bring your dog to the zoo. So we try to hit on all those things that people love, right? You have people that don't have kids, but they love their pets like they're their children. How do I get them to come to the zoo and enjoy the zoo without children? It's all these little things.
The one thing I give you credit for is the zoo is a safe place for a lot of people. And I don't use that word lightly because I was in Glen Mills. I spent time there. And what was funny was I wanted to bring kids from Glen Mills. I told you I'd pay for the whole thing.
Yep.
And you're like, man, just bring the kids here. We'll feed them. Like, I don't know what that costs, but it has to be expensive. You let 100 and some kids in for free to the zoo, and you fed them all good, and you made it a great experience for them. Like, it's not just about the money. You get about giving and take. Like, the odds of those Glen Mills kids ever coming back are slim. That's not being rude to them. It's just they live from all over the country. Sure. But you didn't hesitate to say, Lance, you're not going to pay for this. I want to give back to these kids. Can you talk about why giving back to the community is so important? I believe that helps you grow your brand and business also, too.
Absolutely. The first year, in the beginning...
I think the news actually came out and did a piece on it without us even knowing.
Yep.
They heard Glen Mills was going to be there, and they did, didn't they?
Absolutely. Animals heal, right? You hear about it all the time. Animals heal. And if you can connect with one or two of those kids feeding that giraffe, maybe something they never even thought of before, right? And they feed that giraffe and they have a good relationship or a good experience, it can change them. It can change them. Like Norristown community is right in our backyard. I went to the Norristown School District. We try really hard to show the Norristown kids that the zoo is a place to work. It's a place, like, they don't look at being a veterinarian as an option. And now they have it right in their own backyard. We built one of the best vet hospitals. That new entrance that we built, that whole welcome center, that's to be able to invite more guests into our park. But we have to give back. And yes, it's expensive, but it pays for it tenfold. You're bringing another group that you love and care for to the zoo. That allows us to, again, attract more and keep our relationship strong because we're investing in you, not just the other way around. We're investing in what you believe in.
Yeah, I mean, I got to hold our winter circle event at your place. And I said to Jolyn, I said to my leadership team, this guy gets it. It's knocked out your offices. Like, can you talk about, because your employees are happy there.
They are.
And you have part-time people, you have full-time people. But everyone you walk around the zoo, I call it the Chick-fil-A almost of like Elmwood Zoo, because they're all happy, they're all nice. But you guys give them a beautiful place. And I'm sure you have problems just like every other business that we'll talk about. I mean, me and you just got done walking. I was showing you our new office being built out. And you're like, man, you're killing it. I'm like, dude, I got problems like every other business. And did I say that? And you said, I think you said you should appreciate the problems. Or what, you responded back like,
the problems are part of it. To get the rewards, you got to get the problems,
correct.
Right?
So talk about your people and like why you make your office so nice. Because you look like a little mini Google Zoo, I want to call it, a little Google Zoo.
You know, we had a lot of great partners to help us do that, but we built our offices as part of our Welcome Center and veterinary hospital. I believe in transparency. Normally, the vet hospitals would be on the other side of our campus, off the beaten path. Nobody would see it. During COVID, everybody was watching Tiger King. You know, there's 30,000 zoos across the country. There's only 238 that are AZA accredited. So we wanted to show the public what we do, how we care for our animals, right?
So you're the 1% of the zoos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just did the math real fast.
Yeah. With that, we need to take care of the team. You know, we're not a for-profit company. I'm not handing out those Google salaries, right? So we have to be able to make the people feel comfortable where they are. We need to be attractive to the donors and the groups that come in and the foundations. But at the same time, people have to feel good when they come to work, especially if they're coming to work. Because again, that COVID thing screwed up everybody wanting to work remote. You can't work remote in the zoo world. You can't take care of those animals if you're not there every day. So we want to give them a fun, bright place to engage. And it almost feels like you're not coming to work every day.
You know, I'm sure it hasn't always been such growth. And when you're dealing with a board, boards have a very short leash. They do.
Sure.
I mean, to them, it's just pure business. Like, people don't realize most boards are volunteer boards. I'm assuming yours is volunteer, right? Absolutely. It's no pay board.
Yep.
That's how most are. Or they get a percentage of a sale, which I don't think you're ever going to be selling down one zoo anytime soon, right? So, and there are paid board jobs out there, guys, just so you know.
Sure.
But the majority of board members that most people say they're bored of are not paying.
Yeah, more philanthropic.
Correct. But they have no tolerance for losing money. They're not going to sit there and allow bullshit. How is it like to deal with them? Because that's ultimately your leadership team. Even though you have a leadership team that reports to you, now you're managing probably what, 10, 12?
20 different personalities.
20 different, and I know some of your board members. I'm not being rude because I like them all. They're all great people. But that's 20 different egos of people that think they're right, telling you what their vision should be. And that vision might not align with you. How do you navigate that? And I love Sharifa, by the way, because she's batshit nuts like me. Like, she's my favorite. I do. I always say this joking around. I tell my sister I would have married her back. Like, I'm saying that I love my wife, but you get what I'm saying. Her personality is contagious.
Absolutely. You know, it's about having the plan for the zoo, right? So the board invested in me in the beginning, and they allowed me to make some very difficult decisions. And then we started to build up the board. We do a lot of studying as to where our weaknesses are, not just in the zoo, but on the board, and how do we fill that, right? So this past year, we needed some, we had a lawyer cycle off the board. I needed another lawyer in the spot, and we were able to find the right partner for that.
Who's that, Colin Doherty?
Colin Doherty, yes.
That's who we use over here, too. Them and Overmeyer we use.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
But, we find those niches. Then we have to have a strong, concrete plan, right? I'm invested in it. I'm an employee of the zoo. I never shut it off though. I treat it like it's an ownership, like you own your own business.
That you do. You do more than most people that own businesses.
I never shut it off. I can't, right? So with that being said, even when I go out, I'm always wearing the brand because you never know if you're going to bump into that next donor or who you're going to come encounter with. And the reason why we got our big.
But when you say that, you're not wearing it just because you're a donor. You're also very proud of that brand. I've seen you wear that
100%.
brand when you're up in New York with me and you're away.
Yep.
And you're proud of it. Like, you're not being a donor up there for Elmwood Zoo. So like, I don't want people to think you're just a sales guy, even though you are a sales guy.
No, but you want to be proud of the brand. You want someone to say when they walk by you, I know Elmwood Park Zoo. It was at Elmwood Park Zoo in Norristown, which is not the case in the beginning. When I got to the zoo, we never talked about where Elmwood Park Zoo was because Norristown at that time had a stigma, and they were worried that guests weren't going to come.
Do you think it still does? Do you think it still does, Norristown? Because I hear that I coach football at PW, and people will be like, Norristown. And I guess maybe I come from such a diverse, fucked up childhood. I don't see, I'm like, I don't see the difference between Norristown and where I live in Plymouth. Like, it all seems the same to me.
Norristown's definitely on the rise. It's doing great. It's got some new leadership. It's had some struggles in the school district, and even that they're turning around and they have some support. But like anything, yes, it can go down the wrong path, and it did for a while.
Did it?
But it is.
Yes, I'm not that close to that
It
out
is
here.
on its way back, and it's great. But the board is difficult if you're not following the plan, right? Every board member that comes in there sees the plan. They know what we want to do, and that plan, is 3, 5, 10 years long. But as long as we're all working towards that, it's not hard to manage the personalities of the board.
Why is social media so important? Because I see you guys have live cams now for what are they called? The donkeys? This whole thing?
No, giraffe.
Draft.
Donkeys, I love it.
I'm sorry. Is it draft?
It's giraffes.
Giraffe.
Yep.
So I'm not really that articulate with the animals here, but I do love the zoo.
You love the lions too, right?
I do.
Yeah.
But
We don't have lions, but
No, but you have the jaguars.
our Jaguar exhibit's one of the best in the country.
My kids love that. So, but you're starting to embrace technology more.
Oh yeah.
Social media. Why is social media so important to your business? 'Cause that's helped your growth a lot too.
I mean, because no one puts their phones down. Every downtime someone has, you see them holding their phone. I learned a stat the other day, especially because people are looking at their phones in the offices. They're looking at them in schools. A lot of the videos now more videos are being viewed without sound.
Absolutely, yeah. Put the captions in.
Yeah, you got to put the captions in. So we're looking at all of that. You help us stay ahead of that curve too, because being a nonprofit team, we don't have the 30 employees that are at the San Diego Zoo in the marketing department. We have to rely on our relationships. We have to rely on you telling me, hey, try this. This works. This is what we do elsewhere.
Talk about hiring people and firing faster. Because a lot of people are afraid to talk about that. How many employees at the zoo?
Over 300.
Over 300 employees. That's massive. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Service Titan and Rilla, our technology of choice to helping us scale and grow our business and making sure all of our viewers have the technology to scale their business so when they want to sell it, they're able to.
300. Started, there was 32.
I mean, that's 10x, right? So once again, there's no way you've kept everyone. I'm sure because it's natural. I tell people, as you scale, more bad people get into anything.
Sure.
Right? Can you talk about that? You have to hire fast because the boat has to keep moving.
Yeah.
But you got to fire faster because I know you believe in that mentality. But you treat everyone with respect. The one thing I would give you is, you believe people come in, they should have their dignity. People should leave with dignity. So one thing I give you respect for. Can you talk about that to the hire and fire?
Sure. It's always going to be a process. You're a coach. I watch your stuff. I watch you coach. I've been around your family. I watch you coach wrestling. And I have a mentality very similar to, very much coaching, right? And I'm coaching personalities, right? I have a great director of operations. My COO, Eric Donovan, has been at the zoo for 22 years. I'm going to throw some numbers out because it's about that longevity too.
Absolutely.
He's been there 22 years. And he manages that. I have to manage the personalities of all the different individuals. And it's not easy. But I will tell you, you can identify quickly if someone's going to be on the team, right? You know it.
How many days do you think? 60, 90, 120? What's the time? Some people say 6 months. I think 6 months is too long. I think in 30, 60 days.
Easy, even sooner than that sometimes. I mean, people show their true colors quickly in
Real
everything.
fast.
It doesn't take much to start putting it together. But you need to weigh it out, right? You need to look at what the strengths and what the weaknesses are. But if they're toxic, they have to go.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as someone's a cancer, they're gone. Talk to us about financial literacy because there's no way when you took over. I know you own a catering business, and if you never had Al's food, it's incredible, so And he'll be the first one to come to your house for a barbecue and jump and take over the grill, which is amazing to me.
Done that a few times.
And dressed up nice. The guy wears the nicest clothes and he jumps on the grill. So talk to us about the fight. Because when you took over the zoo, you could not have had the financial literacy you have now. There's no way.
No.
I mean, you went from a catering back. I'm not being disrespectful.
100%.
90% of the caterers, I couldn't tell you if they're successful or not. They couldn't tell you their food costs. They couldn't tell you their beverage costs. Can you talk to me about that learning curve and how did you learn that?
You got to have good people around you too, right? So we have a great partnership in your part-time controller. We have a great CFO. She's been at the zoo 16 years, Raffaline and Natali. And
now, how you her and the relationship have to be great.
That is great.
For that kind
is
of growth, you guys have to be on the same page.
Lance, I'm as crazy as it comes. I want to throw the ball down the field. I want to take all the risks. And you need someone like that to bring you back a little bit, check some of those beliefs. Still be with you, though. Still take those risks with you because I think it's important. But she knows when to say no, and she does a great job with it. But with that being said, my strength coming from Jeffersonville Golf Club was coming from a seasonal business. Elmwood Park Zoo was a seasonal business, right? People are not golfing Jeffersonville Golf Club in February, but I need to figure out how do I get guests to still come to the zoo in those shoulder months, right?
Yeah.
So my background, my strength is marketing. My strength is people, right? And putting those plans together. And then you start to educate yourself with great people around you to help you with those financial things. I am always looking to learn. I'm always looking for, how can you assist me in making myself and my brand better? Always.
But when you're sitting there in reviews now, I'm sure your CFO is leading the charge over the financials, but you better fucking understand,
100%.
be able to gross profit, net income. I'm sure you know what your food cost is, what your
100%.
like going through that. Was she helping you? And like at AT&T, Bill Clenny helped me and Patrick Goodell. They were like, Lance, this is what you have to understand here. Because I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
sure.
really didn't understand it at one SEO when it became small business, not budgets and
Yeah.
funny money, I call it, when it's not your money. Then it gets serious when, hey, listen, we operate in the red here too long. We're out of business.
Yeah, especially when you come to a nonprofit, right? So this nonprofit, Elmwood, was running themselves like a mom and pop, right? They weren't doing P&Ls, and there's a lot of zoos across the country that do that. They're not looking at the zoo as being a business, and you have to. You have to look at every aspect, even if you're a
What do you mean
nonprofit.
they're not looking at the zoo as a business?
Because they weren't. They're looking at themselves as a nonprofit.
So what does that mean? You're not. I get you're a nonprofit, but
Exactly.
the NFL was a nonprofit 5 years ago. People don't realize that.
Exactly. So what they're doing, right? A lot of these nonprofits is they're looking for a donor to come in, make the donation to support the salaries. When we at Elmwood bring a donor into the facility, it is to sponsor a specific event or build capital. If I can't sustain my operations from my gate, because things happen like pandemics, stock market crashes, those things happen. If you can't sustain yourself from the guests coming in the park, you have no business being open. If a program is not working, you have to cut it. And a lot of times nonprofits can't do that because they get too emotionally attached to that program. So we need to look at what works and we need to capitalize on that. Right? We know.
I mean,
people
you're
invest
saying
in
the
their
same
kids.
thing people doing business every single day. They get emotionally. I had a guy today, a good friend of mine in Mississippi. He lost $1.2 million over the last year. He's like, Lance, I got to cut people. These are good people. I'm like, they're not fucking good people. They're milking you. When you're milking a cow and no one's paying for the milk, eventually the farm goes out of business. This is not rocket science, people.
Tough decisions are hard to make, right? That's why they're
No,
there.
I think I actually disagree. I
don't-
think they get easier and easier and easier. And people say you're cold, Lance.
No.
I'm not cold. I live in the real world where businesses fail every day and everyone moves on.
I don't disagree. And they are tough decisions to make, but if you don't make them, you're all out of business. Right? You have to do it.
I just explained this to someone. I buried my mom last Thursday, right? We went to the luncheon. Well, I didn't go to luncheon, but they went to the luncheon. People were sad that day. The next day, the only people that were truly still sad were her children. Make sense?
Yeah.
Everyone else's life just moved on. And my brothers and sisters' life has to move on just like me. The difference in business is this, though, and I say this to everyone. The 99% of the people around you are not vested, 95%, I say. They're vested in their paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And they are looking at the next paycheck coming in. And the minute you don't pay that paycheck, they're gone. Would you agree to that?
100%.
So if you know that and that's the end result, you got to make sure the money keeps flowing so your business keeps growing and they got to go. Like, it's just that simple. like for me, it's not personal, right? It's like, hey, listen, you're not adding X value. You're not getting a return on my investment here. I'm investing. Just give you an example. We just had a girl we told couldn't work from home. I'm not going to say her name, right? I said to Jolyn, when you tell her she can't work from home anymore, that she has to come to the office, she's going to quit. She goes, there's no way. She lives 6 minutes from the office. 6 minutes from the office. She quits the very next day. I said, just go check her email. And this is where you get to manage people better. So go check her email. Right? And I'm not afraid to say it. She wasn't working for the last few weeks. She was already looking. Makes sense? So, yeah, we let her go. Well, she quit we knew we were forcing the hand, right? By saying come to the office. But she wasn't with us anyway.
Sure.
How many people do you think aren't with a lot of these companies that you see struggling?
Absolutely.
That are just taking money and not putting the work in?
Absolutely. And you got to keep looking for that. Your management, your leadership, they have to constantly look and evaluate that.
And it's real simple to tell. If your P&L is profitable and you're making money, a lot of your people in your organization are probably doing the right things. If your P&Ls aren't, a lot of people probably aren't doing the right things.
Sure.
I mean, it's not that difficult to figure
Pretty
out.
easy to find out.
You know, let's talk about this. You know, we talked about financial literacy, we talked about advertising, we talked about people. Let's talk about how big is systems and processes. I'm assuming you have SOPs for everything, especially for a zoo your size.
Everything.
I mean, can you talk about why you have to have, you're training 300 people.
Absolutely. And you have to be able to pick people up and move them out of the operation and move someone right in and continue that, right? So the SOPs to take care of the animals, to take care of the marketing, the finances, there's SOPs in place for all of that. It's so important to be planned, be able to orient your employees when they're coming in, to onboard them better and more efficient, to follow that brand. You know, when we were walking around here today, you talked about our holiday brunch and how you come to that and you love it.
It's my favorite thing to eat in my family for the zoo. If you've not been to it's called the Christmas brunch. Right?
Santa brunch,
Santa brunch, right?
Yep.
Or what's the difference between Santa and Christmas? Same thing,
Nothing.
Right? Yeah.
But Santa's at the brunch.
Yeah, Santa's at the brunch. True. It's our favorite event to go to. Like, we don't go to many events, me and my family, you know that. But that's the one we take off and we come there, spend the day, not the day, but 4 or 5 hours. If you haven't been there, you got to go there.
And you love it. But it's about all of those employees, whether they're the first-time hires. So we like to look at ourselves as an educational employer. So we're hiring your first-time jobber. I'm hiring that 14-year-old with working papers. I'm also hiring that 80-year-old that's retired, wanting to come back and make a little bit of extra money, and everything in between that. Right? So we need to have that same experience, whether they've been in the industry or they're brand new. And there's a lot of education that goes into that. So those standard operating procedures, those policies, they're important. You will see me walk around that zoo and every single piece of trash I pick up, no matter what.
That's a fact. I've seen
And
that.
if I walk around with an employee who doesn't do that, that's a problem. Like, you start to see it right away. But we want that to be the best experience. I'm competing with the oldest zoo in the nation 20 minutes down the road. And the reason why our numbers continue to climb is because we focus on those policies. And
how
those
many people does the
procedures.
Philadelphia Zoo get in a year?
About 1 million.
So you guys are neck and neck.
Now we are.
Yeah, I can only tell you can't go back 10 years on anyone.
No.
What you did in high school doesn't matter today. You're head to head with them right now.
It's been like that probably for the last 5 years, along with the Pittsburgh Zoo as well.
They must love
Pittsburgh
you.
Zoo's 74 acres. Philadelphia Zoo's 14 acres, or 42 acres. And we're currently 16 acres inside the gates.
There's 16 acres inside the gates, and you have almost the same exact numbers.
Yep. Creative.
You are creative.
We're focusing on our customers. We want to understand our customers.
You did come up with some cool things. I remember probably 5-6 years ago, you said, Lance, we're going to do this holiday drive-through, walk-through.
Wildlights.
Wildlights.
Yep.
And I was like, this guy's fucking high. But then, I know because you went to Shady Brook and you went somewhere else.
Yeah.
What's the name of your place in Delaware County you went to? Because we were talking about it.
Yeah, so we did a lot of research on it.
You did.
And we always are, right? But
you did. You were talking about it. I was like, man. But I was like, you know what? This guy is going to pull it off. And you're like, Lance, will you sponsor? I was like, I'm going to sponsor it.
Yeah. You know, Lance.
Out of our relationship, just because I believe you're a winner. I believed in you. Like, I believe you're a winner.
And back then, when we first started talking about it, we were hoping for 100,000 visitors. We hit 70 in 30 days. Now we're well over 225,000
For the Christmas
visitors.
show.
Yeah, for the, yeah.
Is it called the Christmas show?
It's called Wildlights.
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 But I'm assuming it's for holidays, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that's it. Because I've been there.
It's amazing. But to play on that, we talked about earlier that people think about the zoos in our area, Memorial Day to Labor Day. I need to think about what I do outside of those windows to get people there. I call them the shoulder months, right? But if someone is buying a ticket in December to come to the holiday when they normally wouldn't come, it's a little too cold to just come and walk around and see the animals at the zoo. But if you buy a ticket in December, oh, you know what? I want to buy a membership. You know what? I'm going to spend $60 in the gift shop. I want to gift a membership for the holidays because I loved it. Now all of our numbers are up.
What's the membership cost?
About $100 for a family membership. $150. It's inexpensive.
You get the whole family in?
The whole family in. The whole family. And there's
As many
tons of
times as you
deals
want, or is
throughout
that
the
one
year.
time?
No, as many times as you want.
Wait, hold on here.
So let's
You
talk
can't
about
go
that.
to the movies for $150.
No.
You can't go to the movies for that.
But let's talk about that, right? So we surveyed the Philadelphia
Explain
Zoo
that
guests.
to me here.
Yep.
So
we
I
surveyed.
pay for a membership for my family. Is it family based or is it individual
You
based?
could do it either way. You could do it as a couple. You can do it as an individual.
I got
There's
my family.
multiple
I'm a
levels.
family of 5, me and my kids.
It would be a family membership. It's about $150.
I can use as much as I want through the year.
As much as you want.
You got to raise your rates.
No, because now you come to the zoo. You didn't pay for parking like you do at our competitors. You come to the zoo, and now you spend $200, $300 in per caps when you're inside my gates. It drives all my numbers up. I need to get you there, and I need to keep you there. The longer you're there, the more money we make with you.
You don't even care about the membership. You want to
No, I love the member.
No, you love the member.
I love the membership.
But it's such a low number. Like, I mean, I'm just doing the math here. Like, I'm like, dude, like, raise your rates here, brother.
Well, we're always raising our rates. We have to. We have to stay in business.
How many members do you have? Probably 10,000?
No, we have more than that.
20?
Yeah, a little closer to 25.
25,000. So, yeah, I mean, you are doing 5 times the revenue of what your memberships are, which sounds about right. Mm-hmm. It just goes to show you.
But now all my vendors are
Now, I'm not questioning your model.
So I'll give you an example. On Labor Day, we were free to get into the zoo. Free. Didn't have to pay. Free. 4th of July, I was free. I had 23,000 visitors on 4th of July. I had 11,000 visitors on Labor Day. Normally, if I had to charge regular rates, I wouldn't have got anybody because they're looking at all those other free things to do. Both of those days, though, over $100,000 in revenue in the park.
Well, your partners love you.
They love us. And normally they wouldn't want to open on 4th of July. They want to do their own stuff. But now they're making $25,000 in pizza.
Oh, it's probably their biggest sales thing. I mean, if you're doing those type of numbers, I mean, it ain't that hard to figure out. But let's talk about that. You really are a caterer by trade. That's how you learned. But you also are still in the catering business because you guys are selling alcohol there. You're selling food there.
Everything you do in business and in life is catering. You know, when I took the interview, a judge, Wendy Rothstein, who's a very good friend of mine, she was on the board of directors. She was the vice chair at the time. And she said to me, how can a caterer run a zoo? And I said, if you look at catering as food on a plate, you miss the meaning of the word. Catering is everything you do in life and in experiences. Everything has to be an experience. Everything. People will always spend money.
Everything has to be an experience. We talk about that all the time. Last question. I know you're busy and you got a lot of things going on. A lot of people in business don't understand their network is their net worth. Can you tell people who you surround yourself with, good or bad, is what people are going to perceive you as?
Absolutely. You have to put yourself around the right team all the time, especially in business, in life. You know, we all have those friends that we used to hang out with, and that's fine if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for bigger and greater things, you have to surround yourself with bigger and greater things. You know, Lance, with all due respect, I want what you have, right? I want to be around you. I want to learn from you. I want you to turn me on to people in your network. There's an attraction to that. Not the friendship is a huge part of it, but there's an attraction to that. You know, maybe not so much the guy I may have played football with that, you know, is on his 4th or 5th job this year. You know, you got to put yourself around.
And that doesn't make that guy a bad guy. It just makes it not the right guy for you.
100%.
I tell you.
And I got time for that guy too, but
it's
a lot less. Yes,
I mean, listen. I say this to everyone. Every woman I've ever dated is a nice person. I thank God all of them dumped because I was dumped more than I ever dumped anyone. That's the truth. I was always broken up with. I don't know why. But all joking aside, but I thank God it happened because now I got time for my wife.
Yep.
Like, and that's what people don't realize.
You got to put yourself around great people.
Around great people. Listen, thank you. If someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you and find out about the zoo and what you have going on there?
Best way to do is go through the zoo's website. It all comes to me. Everyone can get in touch with me there. You can show up there and ask for me.
What's the website? Elmwood
ElmwoodParkZoo.org.
ElmwoodParkZoo.org. Thank you, Al, for being here.
What social platforms are you on?
Instagram, everything. We're on them all.
Awesome.